People love Frank Bruno. He is a national hero. I mean, I want to ask Frank about everything.
Piers ain't going to pull no punches. He's a hard hitter.
The incredible rise to boxing superstardom from the back streets of being a playground bully who, through circumstance, became one of the most ferocious punchers in British boxing history.
He asked me about everything he wants to ask me about, you know what I mean? That's what the life story is all about.
I want to ask him about his marriage, which was so good for so long and then went so horribly wrong, about his battles with mental illness.
I expect a few bumpy rides here and there, but I'm up for the challenge.
I mean, Frank Bruno has been in the ring with the best. Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. He's never faced Morgan.
He's quick on his feet, and he knows how to place to kill a punch, so I've got to keep bobbing and weaving, ducking and diving.
I think Bruno Morgan could be pretty lively. Now, Frank, you must be pretty nervous.
Nervous of what?
Well, you fought Mike Tyson, you fought Lewis, but you never fought Morgan.
I never fought Morgan. I remember Morgan when he come down to Canning Town and Terry goes, "It's a boy from South East London doing something for the South London Press. As long as it was for the South London Press, I'll let you come in." And I gave you your first break, Piers. So
well, it's funny.
I think you owe me some money for that.
I have a picture of
joking?
our interview from 25 years ago. There we are, a bit grainy. I am a 19-year-old reporter on the South London News, it was, actually. You were a 23-year-old boxer. I think you were about to fight Tim Witherspoon.
Look at my afro, look.
Yeah?
Oh, gosh. Oh, God.
That was 25 years ago.
Scary, isn't
That was the last time I interviewed you.
Oh, my God, you look very different there.
There was in my lightweight days.
You're still speaking with the boy with the plum in his mouth.
When you look at that picture, Frank, and you remember...
Yeah.
And you remember yourself as a 23-year-old about to go for the big world title stuff. You look at how your life has gone since then.
Mm.
Would you actually change anything? I know you've had really tough times, and you've had great times.
I wouldn't change one little bit, because if I would change it, I wouldn't be here if I were to change it. From 8, I had a dream and I had a plan, you know what I mean? I sussed out a lot of different things before a lot of people could suss out. Then for me, I worked out too big to be athletic, too scared to be a thief, too worried of my mum if I went to rob anybody, nick anything or whatever.
I mean, I suppose my question for you is, we haven't done a big interview for quite a long time.
Yeah.
How are you now? I mean, people will be looking at you thinking, you look fantastic. I mean, the suit is outrageous. And that is the most outrageous suit you've ever seen, isn't it? I mean, look at it.
I was talking to the doctor the other day, and he said it was 9 years since I was sectioned, you know. But I'm here, you know. I mean, every day you got to just think, thank God that you wake up and just push on from there. I train like it's a fight or something like that, and I keep it real. I'm not Mother Teresa's child. I'm Lynette Bruno's child, but I duck and dive, and I just keep it real, and I look after myself. That's all I can do. I can't do no more than that.
And you still work out every day?
Every single day I try and work out. I get the hump if I don't work out.
You're the fittest 50-year-old I've ever seen.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that, because I could tell some men will give me a run for my money. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just contented and at a right place at the moment.
Well, I think everyone here, Frank, will feel like I do. It's great to see you back in such fantastic form. It really is.
Thank you.
You became this great boxing champion.
Yeah.
For those who've never stepped into a ring, describe for me the emotions that you go through.
It's one of the most horrible, no, not the most horriblest things. Sometimes when you go in the boxing room and you train for a fight, you wonder, what am I doing there? But I'd looked at it realistically. I have to do athletics. I couldn't have made as much corn as I do. I can't play football, I've got 2 left feet.
But did you actually enjoy boxing, the fighting itself?
That is a difficult question. I had to make a living, you know. I mean, I'd much more rather enjoy it than going in and out of prison or get myself into trouble. So I had to do it. I didn't have no choice, because I was a dreamer, so dreams can come true sometimes. But I do enjoy it in some ways, and in some ways I don't enjoy it. It's a very, very precious sport. When you're doing something and you've got a guy in the ring and someone wants to knock your head off and you want to knock his head off, I'm not kinky. I don't want no one touching my head.
When you used to walk out and the crowds would all go crazy and it was, you know, millions watching around the world and so on, as you're making that walk to the ring, what would you be thinking?
Just focus. You've got to get him before he gets you.
Simple
You're
as
not
that.
on time and a half. If you can knock him out early, knock him out.
When you fight somebody like Mike Tyson
Yeah.
at the peak of his powers,
Right.
which is what you did, and you nearly beat him,
Yeah.
when you're entering a ring to fight somebody that ferocious at the height of their powers, what are you feeling in that
All
moment?
sorts like different things. You know, I mean, Piers, if you went without sex for 3 months, if you had to go into training camp and you had to fight 5 different sparring partners coming at you, two rounds at a piece, and your trainer's going to give the last one, who's about 19 stone with size 16 foot, and yeah, he's on the bonus of a grand to knock you down on the floor. You know what I mean? What am I training? What am I doing all that for? To go in the ring, to go and try and mug myself off. I'm trying in there to go in there and give it toe-to-toe and try my best. Sometimes your best is not good enough. At least I went and give it 110%.
Did you really have to go 3 months without sex?
Sometimes I had to go more than 3 months and not even using the right hand or the left hand. If you're talented, like I try and explain to my son's talented in rugby. He does very, very well, but talent alone won't do it. You've got to have the determination as well as the talent. But I didn't have the talent. I had the determination, but sometimes the determination would outweigh the talent.
Even for somebody as big as you and highly trained as you and as strong as you, when you get hit hard
Gosh.
in a big fight,
Oh, gosh.
what is that like by
Reality of
heavyweight?
being punched ain't nice. Reality of punching someone ain't nice, but I'd rather punch someone than someone punch me, you know what I mean? But that's the name of the game. That's why it's called boxing, the fisticuff. That's why lots of people watch it. That's why a lot of people do it, white collar or whatever. Girls do it for training or whatever, and they've got respect for boxing. It's a serious cup of tea sport. It's not no putty cat sport like table tennis and chess
people
or
who-
darts. Ping pong is a very serious game.
Frank, you made history as one of this country's great sporting champions, but you didn't do it the easy way. Frank Bruno, the gentle giant who became king of the ring.
People who didn't even know about boxing or like boxing loved Frank. Frank was a superstar.
When he was fighting, that everybody stopped, the whole nation stopped.
He has that magic touch to be able to cross over to many, many people.
I can hear him coming from a mile away, I think. I could say, that's my dad. I can hear his laugh.
If you know what I mean, Harry.
As well as glory in the ring, Frank became a major celebrity.
Everybody, but everybody throws him one up. Frank, Frank.
But later came personal crisis, marital strife, drugs and mental illness.
Because there were real highs and there were real lows, that people sort of sympathised with him.
He was a lost soul.
Frank's story began when he blazed onto the boxing scene in the early 80s. From the very beginning, he had his sights set on being champion of the world.
Suddenly this boy entered the professional ring at 18 years of age. Fantastic specimen, great punch in either hand.
By the time I'm 25, I think I should be the world champion.
The Brits were always looking for a heavyweight who could win a world title, and we hadn't had one for, was it 100 years or so.
Frank took on the world, and his date with destiny came when he earned his title shot against the bad boy of boxing himself, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson was at the peak of his power in 1989 when Bruno challenged him.
Tyson stood undefeated for 35 consecutive fights, but against all the odds, Frank rocked Iron Mike with a fearsome left hook.
I can't remember what round it was, but he hit him with a I think it was a left hook.
Mike Tyson's legs, for a few seconds, went to rubber.
We thought, oh my Lord, is Frank going to do it?
Everybody in my household went absolutely crazy. I think even Frank did. He couldn't believe it, thinking, yes, I've got you.
But it was not to be.
Then, of course, Frank stood back.
He failed to deliver the finisher. And then, by the time Tyson came back, that was the end of it.
After another failed attempt at the world title against Lennox Lewis, Frank was pitched against reigning heavyweight champion Oliver McCall.
9 years and 45 days since his first world title attempt against Tim Witherspoon right here at Wembley Stadium. Will it be a different story tonight?
This was to be Frank's last chance to realise his dream of becoming champion of the world.
When he fought Oliver McCall, this was it.
That's encouraging for Bruno.
They were very well matched. There was not a lot to choose between them.
McCall was coming at him so hard at the end.
We never thought we'd see him become a world heavyweight champion.
People were thinking, is he going to blow it yet again?
After 11 rounds, Frank was ahead on points. All he had to do was survive the final seconds.
But it was up off their stats here. I was running around the living room. Just grab hold of him, Frank.
The bell's going to go any second. Bruno must be a mile ahead on points, and he must have been the world heavyweight champion with that final bell.
He was crying. Every emotion, I think, went through his body, because obviously if this was his ambition, this is what he'd set out to do his whole life.
It's like a dream come true. All the years I've been dreaming for this.
To see and hear the land of hope and glory after that fight with all the confetti coming down, you know, and the glory of winning after so many defeats, never to be forgotten. Fantastic.
You look like you found some of that difficult to watch. Why was that?
No,
was it bringing back memories to you?
No, it's just interesting. It's very therapeutic.
What were you thinking as you watched it back?
That was yesterday. It was just a piece of history that sometimes when you're young, and sometimes people say sometimes dreams come true, but it's sometimes hard to really watch some of it, because it's a long old struggle, ups and downs, good and bad and whatever. But well, hey, you know what I mean? I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm still ducking and diving. I'm still fighting fit.
That moment, Frank, after that brutal fight with McCall, and you just had to hang on, as they said at the end. You knew you'd won if you could hang on, and you did, and you got declared world champion.
Yeah, right.
When you heard those words, this was your great dream.
Yeah, very, very unbelievable to get it, because it actually fulfilled your dream. It was nice. Put the icing on the cake, and I mean, that belt, that I looked at it yesterday, and I look at it every day, and I look at it every night. I go on my knees and I just thank God, because sometimes dreams can come true.
Before you fought McCall that time, a lot of people had written you off. They said, Frank Bruno will never win the world title. He's not good enough. What was it that was driving you?
I just wanted to fulfill my dream. I mean, I couldn't have finished on a retirement saying that he's a never man. I just wanted to get it, even if it was for 5 minutes, 1 minute, 1 second, just get my dream. The world champion, that was good enough for me.
As Des Lynam said, you became a superstar, and that brought with it, obviously, a lot of...
superstar, Piers. If I don't mind, I'm just a ducker and diver, you know, because I don't like that word superstar, because it puts a lot of title and a lot of pressure on me when you say a superstar. I'm not a superstar, you know. I'm just a ducker and diver like yourself.
But you became world champion.
It don't make no difference if you become world champion. I'm no more different than you. If I went for Vindaloo the same as you, I've got the same toilet as you. So that's to say that I'm a superstar, man. I'm just a ducker and diver. I'm not no superstar. I'm no more better than anybody here.
From your boxing career, you earned £10 million.
Boss, whether I earned £10 million, it made no difference. Don't say that, because the taxman to be after my backside.
I mean, was that figure accurate?
Oh, yeah. But listen, Piers, you know what I mean? I don't know what I made, you know what I mean, to be quite honest. Whatever I made, I try and, you know, but I don't know what I made, you know what I mean? What I made or made. Can we change the subject, Piers? What size shoes are you?
One of the first things which people remembered about you coming to fame as a boxer was your famous catchphrase with Harry Carpenter, the great commentator. There he is.
Very, very special
Now, give us for one more time the famous...
I mean Harry.
How many times do people say that to you?
I don't really mind. People could do. That man was one of the most specialist men that ever come out of England. He was a nice, wonderful, wonderful man. Don of a man. He's funny.
And you had this wonderful relationship.
Well, we never kissed, and we didn't eat times or nothing like that. You know, I mean, the relationship was only platonic.
Let's just take you back to that fight with Mike Tyson, because Tyson's become this iconic figure in world boxing, and is, in many ways, a fascinating guy. When you hit him hard and you rocked him, and the whole of Britain went get
Harry
in there,
got
Frank,
involved
led by
as well,
Harry.
yeah,
Harry's
yeah.
like, go get him, Frank.
That's
right?
it, that's
when,
it.
when that happened, did you really believe for a moment you had him?
Well, I don't think the referee had him because there was only 3 of us in the ring. So I thought I did have him and was going in, but someone said, oh, you step back. But Tyson's a very, very tricky guy. He's a very, very small guy, and when he's hurt, he's more dangerous, and he's bobbing and weaving, you've got to have it. But my underpants could have proved that I was trying more hard than what you can imagine. I'm sorry, ladies, if that sounds crude.
Have you stayed in touch with Mike Tyson?
I don't really stay. I would always have a respect for one another, me and Mike, because it goes a little bit more deeper than what people may think. But I ain't keeping no friends with someone who's trying to knock my head off.
The big turning point, it seems to me, you got expelled from school.
Well, I wouldn't say it's exposed. I was asked to leave.
Let's go back to where everything started for you.
No problem.
You were born Franklin Roy Bruno in 1961. You were brought up in South London by your parents, Robert, who was a bakery worker, and Lynette, a nurse. Very religious woman.
Oh, very religious.
And very strict. I mean, she was a Pentecostal lay preacher.
Yeah, she had to be strict with me because I don't think I had the fuses in my head. I was there, but I weren't there sometimes. I would do some odd things, but everything I'd done, I couldn't bring the danger of bringing anything noise or any trouble to my house. Some of the friends I had, I would be doing some ducking and diving. I got drunk at 8. I had my first puff of, I think it was Moroccan at 8, and I went out flying Concords. Yeah, and I mean, and...
when you were very young, did you find it hard to express yourself?
A lot of times I found it hard to express myself. My mum and dad were always working different shifts, passing the night and whatever. My mum was always, not moaning, but it was a struggle to have a house. We brought up in a house in Wandsworth, what they call South Chelsea now. It wasn't easy, but... You know, she struggled and persevered.
Did you feel loved?
That's a difficult question to say. I felt loved because my family, you know what I mean, always try and look after me and everything like that. I felt loved, but I felt confused at times, you know what I mean, of what was happening out there, because I was a thinker. I was very shy. I didn't have too many girlfriends. I didn't really go out with too many friends or whatever, but I could hold my own. I knew how to duck and dive.
Frank, you said that boxing saved you because as a young lad, you were heading into serious trouble. Frank, the youngest child of Robert and Lynette, was born and raised in South London.
We come from a pretty big house in Wandsworth, a family house. Franklin was the last of about 6, and he was the baby of the family.
Despite his parents' best efforts, schoolboy Frank began to go off the rails.
We fight at school every day, and every day there would be somebody knocking your door, telling you how Frank fights and how he does this and how he does that.
He was starting to smoke marijuana. He was getting into fights.
Frank was eventually expelled. His parents sent him away to a reform school for troubled youngsters.
They sent him off to school down in Sussex, and I think there was a master there, a school teacher there, who encouraged Frank, because of his, you know, his physique and everything, encouraged him to get involved in sport. The look of the man, he was destined to be a boxer.
That was a turning point in his life. He suddenly realised he had an opportunity.
As a young amateur boxer, Frank proved a knockout.
One day we took him down to the gym, and he didn't just beat one opponent. He beat 2 in one day.
Frank achieved stardom pretty quickly as a young amateur boxer.
He was absolutely huge, you know, 6 foot plus.
He won the national amateur heavyweight title. He was the youngest ever.
Frank turned professional, and outside of the ring, life was a knockout too. He'd found love with girlfriend Laura Mooney.
My mum and met my dad. They used to go roller skating a lot. My dad was to ask our mum if she could pinch his bum.
I remember he coming back and telling me how this beautiful young lady come up and pinch him on the bum. And it's as if he was almost in love straight away.
Frank and Laura settled down and started a family. First to arrive in 1982 was daughter Nicola.
Nicola, that's his little girl. Nicola's a daddy's girl, and he was so proud to have his first little girl.
He loved play fighting with me and just always rough and tumbling.
He just was a happy dad. He was proud.
But although Frank's loved ones enjoyed the trappings of his boxing success, every punch he took hit his family hard.
I didn't enjoy watching my dad in the ring. It wasn't a nice thing to see your dad coming home hurt.
There's no way you can jump in that ring and defend your own brother who is being beaten up. You just got to sit here and watch it happen. Oh my man, it's a bad dream. Really painful.
I found it really scary, really. Because obviously at the end of the day, I know my dad's going in a ring to have to hit someone, and it is the whole point of who gives up first.
It's a hard sport. And for a mother, each time you see him in a fight, there is something in you that quivers.
How do you feel, Frank, when you hear your family talking about how they felt about you being hit in the ring and stuff? Were you aware of how concerned
I was
they were?
aware. You know, I mean, it felt very sad when you see Nicola and Rach, you know what I mean, feeling it and the cringing and whatever. But I didn't have no skill. I didn't have a profession. The only way I knew best was to get involved in the fisticuff, the pugilist game. But yeah, you can't hit people without people hitting you. You know what I mean? You can't knock people down without you getting knocked down yourself. So you can't have one-way traffic in life. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Do you think your mother understood that? And that's why...
No, she never understood it at all. She still thinks I'm a rogue today with all the family, you know what I mean? Like, she wanted me to be a lay preacher or something a little bit, something a little bit more special than boxing. She thought it was the roughest thing that I could ever do, but she knew I was cut out to fight because I was fighting all the time. And not like I like fighting, I don't know. It's a testosterone once it kicks in, you know what I mean? You give it a go.
Did Laura ever want you to quit boxing?
Yeah, loads of time. The pressure was too much for her. The pressure was too much for the kids to take. It's not a nice game. You don't know if your daddy's going to come back through the door. You don't know what's going to happen. Your dad's gone to America or whatever. You had some bad boys out there, you know.
Now, Frank, as a young man, as you said, you became a bit of a problem. You were picking fights, you were shoplifting. The big turning point, it seems to me, you got expelled from school.
Well, I wouldn't say it's expelled. I was asked to leave. If you call that expelled, it's
and your parents decide to send you away to this special
posh boarding school in Sussex.
Yeah,
you know?
which is for
it's called Borstal. That's what it's called, Borstal, right? Yeah. It was the roughest place like I've ever been in my life. Even when I got off the coach, me and this ginger boy, testosterone, started fighting. I was giving it a two-shade, top. He goes, now we tried it your way, do it my way. Hit me up the black and... Oh, no, sorry. Hit me up the Savoy. He said, welcome to the real world. But it was like that all the time. That's why I'm glad I found a man called Mr. Chapman, who had the old people's home at the end of the school, and Mrs. Chapman. They took me under their wings and they treated me like a king, you know.
And you responded well, Frank, because although you'd been really difficult till then, you actually... You found this teacher who liked you. Yeah. You became good at sport and so on. And you actually became one of the head boys.
Mr. Irwin, yeah, he was a good guy, judo man.
Why did you respond well to him, do you think?
Because he showed me understanding. He talked to me, and he was a sportsman, and he will show you different things about developing the strength of your body and, you know what I mean, finding yourself. When somebody gives you a little bit of respect and you can talk to him and you can reason with him, you've got to give him respect back. That Mr. Irwin was a really nice guy who could canoe, he could rock climb, camping out for a week, and we learned how to survive. Horse riding. I didn't even like horses, but we'd go horse riding just to go and try and chat up the horse girls. And it was a nice environment, but it was just like a stressful environment, you know what I mean? Because sometimes when I left the school, I went to visit some of the boys. Some of them done well, some of them ended up in prison, some of them ended up some serious problems.
Tell me about your father, Frank, because towards the end of your time at that school, he lost his long battle against illness. He'd been ill for 4 or 5 years,
hadn't he? Weren't nice, man. You know, I mean, every time you come back from school, your dad's getting skinnier, couldn't talk, had a stroke, he had diabetes, but, you know what I mean, he was a very, very proud man, and just to see your dad, you got to give him injections. He weren't nice at all whatsoever.
You were actually giving him insulin injections?
I was giving him insulin because my mum had to duck and dive, do her bits and pieces, but I had to look after my dad. That's my dad. You know what I mean? I had to look after him, you know what I mean? It weren't easy, but he's my old man, you know what I mean? I loved him to the bone, man.
How big an impact do you think did his death have on you, given your age at the time?
It was very, very sad because, you know what I mean, I was in Sussex and the teacher was, a friend got some bad news. I said, I know, sir. I heard him crying, I heard him screaming out, and I was so far away, but You know, sometimes...
You had this sort of vision of your father in pain.
My dad, I knew my dad was my hero, he's my king. I worshipped him, you know what I mean? Because he always wanted the boy, but he would drop some manners on me. But he always made sure I was smart. He always made sure I had money, and he loved me, you know what I mean? And I loved him, but he wouldn't... He had a West Indian way about him. If you do something, he would do. You know, I can't even explain how, where, what. He would drop some manners on me, and I needed every bit of that manners dropped on me because I was borderline.
He never saw you become a champion boxer?
Never saw me, because I think he died when I was about 13, 14, but...
What would he have made of what happened to you?
He would have been a very, very proud man, you know what I mean? Very, very proud. He don't say more than 2 words, you know what I mean? Every Sunday, he would there with his whiskey and his music, and he'd be dancing and he'd be happy. He just like me sometimes, just keep yourself to yourself, just chill and get on with what you got to do. He'd been a very, very proud man.
You took up boxing. Your dad had got you the first pair of gloves.
Yeah.
And you quickly realised you were good at this. And people realised you were good at it too. Your brother Michael, I love this story, actually wrote on the kitchen wall at home, Frank Bruno, heavyweight champion of the world, 1986.
Wait, I've been 10 years after that.
No, but that was an amazing thing.
Yeah, it was an amazing thing, but I had a dream, you know what I mean? I couldn't really go into the office. I couldn't really do something too complicated, so I waited up. I got to go into something. I used to do karate and everything, thinking I was a black version of Bruce Lee, but that couldn't have made me money more than they could have done boxing. And Muhammad Ali paved the way, you know what I mean, was my hero, and I just used to go down to George Francis' gym, and there's glaze at him and Veronica and the blue Rolls Royce, and I want one of them one day. And it came true, and then some, and then some. It was the most shameful time of my life, but I'm not above being sexual. I'm not above that, having to admit that I had bipolar and had a nervous breakdown.
Tell me about your relationship with Laura, the woman who became your wife, Laura Mooney.
That's it.
Tell me how you first met.
Oh, well, I was at Battersea Park and I'm a cheeky so-and-so, you know what I mean? And she pinched my bum and I just dropped 2 lyrics and I said, come on, let's go in the books and finish it off. That's it, you know what I mean? Then the other day, it started with the pinch.
Was it love at first pinch?
At the time, you know, I didn't have too many women, and she was a good girl, you know what I mean? She could knew her way around. I couldn't really fault her, you know what I mean? And we're not all perfect. And all I know, Nicola come along, thank God, and then I had to work extra harder. Then Rachel come along, and then, thank God, you know what I mean? I always wanted the boy, not dissing the girl, but, you know what I mean? I just was happy when the sun came on. It was a nice relationship. Sometimes it could be hard here and there, but it became into a business relationship where she took over. But in the boxing business, it's not an easy place for a woman to be, you know what I mean?
Because Laura was white, you got a lot of stick as an interracial couple.
Yes, I got a lot of stick.
You did get a lot of stick.
I got a lot of stick, but
people telling you were a sellout, you betrayed the black people.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you heard that?
I felt that was kind of a disrespect for me. If I fancy someone or whatever, what's it to do with you? Whatever I fancy, what I'm doing, you know what I mean? I'm proud to be who I am. Much more proud in my little finger than there'll ever be in the whole body.
Good for you. Frank, you'd enjoyed a glorious career, but when you finally said goodbye to boxing, you began what became the toughest battle of your life. In 1996, Frank decided the time had finally come to hang up his gloves.
Just here to say that I'm officially retired, and any questions you want to ask.
He achieved everything he wanted to do, and the pinnacle would always become world champion. He became one of the most recognisable faces in the UK, one of our iconic sportsmen.
The big question was what to do next, and Frank found a new lease of life, treading the boards in Panto.
He used to come forward and stand at the front of the stage, and the place went absolutely wild. I've never seen anything like it in the theatre.
His fan base was just enormous, so the producers knew they were onto a winner by getting Frank into it.
But in reality, Frank was struggling to cope with life after boxing.
I don't think pantomime, stage work will ever replace Frank Bruno in that ring being a boxer.
The trouble is with having so many highs like Frank had is that the lows are just as big, and I suffered with it just like Frank did.
Following Frank's retirement, cracks began to appear in his marriage. In the year 2000, it was revealed that the couple were getting a divorce.
When he retired and wanted all the love and all the family affection that he needed then, that was when the split came.
He was in this huge family home on his own. It was a lonely place for him because us kids did go to live with my mum and he was there on his own, and that is when he just crumbled, I think. He lost it.
Frank's life was unravelling fast.
It's quite an open secret in the boxing world that Frank was smoking a lot of dope.
He turned to drugs because he was lonely, I think.
But only those closest to him knew that Frank's problems ran even deeper. He was now in the grip of mental illness.
When you listen to his conversation, you know that something wasn't right.
Frank had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but shunned medical treatment. His condition became more and more severe.
He just had this scary look about him. He just wasn't himself, and he was so skinny.
When he retired, he got real, massive, paranoia that people were following him.
The ring that he won the fight in, he bought it. He's given to him the canvas and everything, and there were stories that he was sleeping in the ring.
He would turn up at people's houses a long way from home.
Frank's family felt they had no option but to take matters into their own hands.
One of this country's best-loved sportsmen, Frank Bruno, is in a mental hospital tonight.
They arranged for him to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act.
It was like telling a child, you've got to do something, and he didn't want to go. He was scared. He didn't want to be in that hospital because I think in his head he didn't think he was going to come out.
I was fearing, and obviously my family as well were fearing for his health. And we just got the doctors in and it just had to go from there.
When I saw the gate open and the ambulance came in and the police behind there, it really had an effect on me. I feel really sad.
Frank Bruno's ex-wife Laura this evening leaving the psychiatric hospital where the former world champion has been committed while his state of mind is assessed.
It was a horrible feeling, but it was something that needed to be done, and I will never regret doing it.
We couldn't have let him carry on like that. I think if we had let him just go on, I don't think my dad would be here today.
What do you remember about that day, Frank?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
I mean, tell me what happened from your point of view.
I just lost it, man. I wouldn't surrender. I don't know if it's a man's thing or whatever, but when someone's telling you that you're not well, you're trying to be and tell them you are well, but I weren't well, and I'm glad my daughter had the courage to put me in there, because I needed to be in there, because I wasn't a danger. I didn't threaten nobody. I wouldn't hurt nobody. I might have, you know what I mean, verbally or whatever, but,
Did you know that you were stumbling into mental ill health?
It was just racing and trying to do everything at once, and just having the wrong sort of like people around me, and I got wounded, but I couldn't really see it at the time, and it was there.
It took 6 hours for you to get in the ambulance. I mean, do you remember what was going on there?
Yes. And I was saying all different gibbery rubbish, and then I eventually got to Goodmay's, and I said I wanted a Bob Marley in front of the policeman. He goes, yeah, the Bob Marley's over there. They tripped me up and dropped a needle in my backside, man, not in the crack. It was in the soft. Woo! I was flying, I was gone, man. I was gone, you know what I mean? And when I got up the next morning, welcome to reality. But it was
when you were being told, look, you've got to go, and it was against your will,
I wanted to drive myself so I could drive off and go, but
what were you feeling?
Funny.
What were you feeling, Frank?
I just wanted to go and run, but there was nowhere to run because there's a lot of TV people out there on radio, and everybody knew what was happening, and it was the most shameful time of my life. But I'm not above being sexual. I'm not above having to admit that I had bipolar and had a nervous breakdown. It ain't a nice thing to do. Some people don't pull through, some people do.
For the first few days.
Right.
Be honest now, how were you feeling?
I was feeling terrible, man. Very, very terrible. Very disgusted, very embarrassed, very, very low. I couldn't have got no lower, you know what I mean? And rather than digging a hole for himself and going out to the bunker. You know what I mean? It was very, very disgusting, very, very shameful certain things on television, certain different things in the paper and whatever, but hey, that's how life goes sometimes.
When you saw your two daughters, who are beautiful girls, very smart,
just like their dads,
obviously got their mother's looks. When you see them, Frank, talking so lovingly and caringly about you, when you were in the hospital, did you think of them and think, I've got to pull myself together?
I thought of them, but I was one flew over the cuckoo's nest, man. I was gone. I was gone. When I mean gone, I was gone. I was just... I didn't... As I said, I didn't know if I was come back, but they're good people in good minds. They looked after me very, very well. I was very, very stubborn at first, but I said, blind man, if I run away, I've got to start it all over again. So I just had to do with the system, but when I come out, I just had to do what I had to do, but it took me a long, 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 long time to get through. It was a scar.
It was interesting hearing Ricky Hatton there, because he went through a lot of similar issues to you when he quit boxing. He couldn't deal with it, really.
Right.
You quit, Frank, because you got a detached retina, and they said that this could blind you if you fought again.
Yeah.
When you were told you can't box again...
It's a wicked, terrible thing. You can't do what you want to do, but
Is it the worst feeling for a boxer to be told that?
It's a bad feeling, but I think I had a good long innings and I'd done pretty well, half done well for myself, so it was time for me, but to fit something in. But it doesn't help if you're going through a divorce and you've got 3 kids that you love and a little boy and whatever. But, you know, I'm not blaming nobody but myself, because I put myself in that position because I'm a strong character normally, but sometimes you get weak and you got to pick yourself up.
Why did the marriage, do you think, go wrong?
I don't really know, you know what I mean? There's a pressure. It wasn't easy for her, you know what I mean? Bringing up 3 kids with a nanny and whatever, so it wasn't easy. She had not an easy job living with me, because I wasn't an easy guy. I was a very regimental guy, getting up in the morning. When I weren't trained, I'd get up in the morning, but you know, I'm not an easy guy to live with, you know what I mean?
But do you think you were a good husband?
I think I was fair. I wasn't a bad husband. I wasn't a wicked husband. I wasn't the perfect husband, but I tried my best to a certain extent. But sometimes when things don't work, you may stray here and there. And I did. Because I can't use my left hand and right hand if nothing's coming in to use it for me. So, you know what I mean? I'm only human.
You mean you had affairs?
I wouldn't say that, Piers, but if you want to say that, you're entitled to say what you want to say because you're a journalist.
Well,
I wouldn't say that.
I wonder if that's what you just told me.
I didn't say it. It didn't come out of my mouth like that, Piers. I didn't say that.
Were you hinting at it?
I didn't come out of my mouth. I didn't say that.
Did you feel broken-hearted when you're married?
I felt very broken-hearted, to be quite honest, but I ain't going to sit here and say I weren't broken-hearted. Yes, I was broken-hearted. I was gutted. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, life has got to go on. I can't sit here pondering and feeling sorry for myself.
But you loved each other, didn't you?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And deep down in my heart, I still love her. I always will love her. When you love someone, it's very difficult to say you don't love them. You know what I mean?
So you went through this terrible divorce that broke your heart.
Yeah.
Were you very lonely?
Lonely? That's an understatement of the year. Of course I was lonely. Yes, I was very, very lonely. Very, very lonely. But that's why I decided to take up training again and start getting myself fit, keeping my mind active and keeping it on the real.
Did you ever feel suicidal at that time?
Never entered my head. I'm not that brave. Not that brave, Miss Morgan. Not that brave at all. I could never attempt to do that. I've got things to do, man. I'm at the second phase of my life.
You have a young lady in your life?
Yes, I've got a young lady in my life. I didn't think I would go there, and she made me see the light at the end of the tunnel again.
You came out of the hospital after 2 months. You got home and there were thousands of messages from members of the public.
Unbelievable. And I thank anybody who ever sent me a letter.
What did that make you feel like?
It's very, very touching, but I'm a guy that I try and blank all that fame letters and whatever. It was very, like Father Christmas style. It was very, very touching.
You got a letter from Mike Tyson.
Did I?
You know you did.
It was nice that he done it, you know what I mean? There's some nice people said some nice beautiful things. My kids always say some nice things, but I can't read it because sometimes it brings a little tear to my eye. But
can you see your kids there?
Yeah.
How much do you feel you owe them?
I owe them a lot, man. I owe them a lot. I owe them a lot because they've been through a lot through their lives and they never asked to be here, to be quite honest. But I owe them a lot, you know what I mean? And no, I'll never let them down, you know what I mean? That dad will always be here for them.
Frank, your illness was the hardest opponent of your life, but just like when you're in the ring, we were all rooting for you. After 8 weeks in a psychiatric unit being treated for bipolar disorder, it was time for Frank to go home. But the road to recovery wasn't over yet.
Frank was fragile when he came out of hospital. You could just see it in the way he held himself.
Medication and being locked away for a period of time, even to come out and meet normal people on the street, it's a weird experience for him.
We went on holiday in 2005 and it was realising then that he was getting better. He'd obviously taken his tablets and he was on the road to recovery of just knowing that my dad was listening to me again.
He really relies heavily on the gym, and that's his way of coping with it, I suppose. He just keeps himself really healthy and fit, but he's got to realise this is something he's got to live with for the rest of his life, and it's going to be an ongoing thing.
The character I know today is our Frank, is the old Frank.
What's your most famous line?
You know what I mean, Harry?
I'm not Harry.
You know what I mean, Annie?
That's better.
You're so kind, Annie. Could you not be so aggressive to me? You're making me blush. I'm twitching.
I think now Frank, for the first time, perhaps for many, many, many years, is happy just being Frank Bruno.
I've got nothing against Barry. He's a nice chappy, but unfortunately, he couldn't answer the question. That's it.
The glint's back, the laugh's back. I think we've got Frank back.
People don't realise Frank, he still helps out in the boxing club. Can you imagine being a young kid coming through and Frank Bruno's in there wrapping your gloves for you, watching you spar? He's in the gym. How inspiring it is.
My dad, I realise, is a national treasure because he is just such the lovable, gentle giant that everybody sees and loves.
We do love him a lot, and I think we're so proud of his recovery and he knows that we're always here for him.
Frank, you've had your ups and downs, but you're still our hero, and always will be. Good luck, mate.
Keep jabbing your way through life, Frank, you know what I mean?
It's good to see you gone through your dark days and night and back in the sunshine.
Franklin, keep your head up and live a good life. God bless you.
When was the moment for you, Frank, after the hospital, after you'd had some time out, been back home? When was the moment you thought, OK, life isn't going to be so bad, I can come through this properly?
I don't really know, you know. I mean, sometimes I get a lot of conversation with my son, and Nicola and Rachel, and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days, but I ain't got time to lie down no more, and I ain't got time to waste with pondering, feeling sorry for myself. I just got to get up and do what I got to do, you know, and I'm just pecking each day, you know what I mean, and doing what I got to do.
Do you feel happier now?
I am happier. I am buzzing. Sometimes I've found this girl, she lives in Scotland. There's a long way my hosepipe can't stretch down.
You have a young lady in your life?
Yes, I've got a young lady in my life. I didn't think I would go there. Her name is Nina, and she made me see the light at the end of the tunnel again, because...
So Nina lives in Scotland?
She lives in Scotland, Glasgow, but she's a good girl. She's a business girl as well. I don't know if he's going to be married, because that costs me a lot of money.
If I was to interview you again in 5 years, Frank,
Yeah.
say we met again in 5 years, where would you like to be, do you think?
I don't know what I'd do. I want to get involved with the Prince's Trust. I want to do with the Academy. I want to do a lot with mental health. I just want to enjoy myself and do things at my pace. And...
Well, your great dream was always to be world champion, and you were. What would you like to achieve now?
Dive, you know? I mean, because I've got a lot of potential and I've got a lot of determination, but I've got a lot of experience to give a lot of youngsters and talk to them about, you know what I mean? Because I might not be able to put it in the book, but I've been a lot of places and survived. How? I don't know, but I've got a lot to give a lot of people.
I suppose what I really want you to do is to understand that probably everyone in this room feels the way I do. We just feel...
It's very kind of you.
We feel like we love Frank Bruno.
I wish I had the money to buy all of you a drink, but I think I better put it on your bill. I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate, and love goes out to all of you. But, Mr. Morgan, I appreciate, that's all I can say.
Well, Frank, on behalf of everybody here, I wish you all the very best in your continued recovery. Thank you very much.
This is really good. Cheers, man.
Since this interview was recorded, Frank, in his continued fight against mental illness, has been receiving further treatment. Frank's family is happy for this interview to be broadcast, and we wish Frank all the very best for his recovery. Did your real father ever tell you he loved you?
No. I didn't ask why he'd rejected me.
Never apologised?
No.
Our film Ray, about the innovator of soul himself, Ray Charles, follows the news at 10 tonight. Over on ITV2 next, you can catch up with all the glamorous goings-on in The Only Way is Essex.
People love Frank Bruno. He is a national hero. I mean, I want to ask Frank about everything.
Piers ain't going to pull no punches. He's a hard hitter.
The incredible rise to boxing superstardom from the back streets of being a playground bully who, through circumstance, became one of the most ferocious punchers in British boxing history.
He asked me about everything he wants to ask me about, you know what I mean? I think that's what the life story is all about.
I want to ask him about his marriage, which was so good for so long and then went so horribly wrong, about his battles with mental illness.
I expect a few bumpy rides here and there, but I'm up for the challenge.
I mean, Frank Bruno has been in the ring with the best. Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. He's never faced Morgan.
He's quick on his feet and he knows how to place to kill a punch, so I've got to keep bobbing and weaving, ducking and diving.
I think Bruno Morgan could be pretty lively. Now, Frank, you must be pretty nervous.
Nervous of what?
Well, you fought Mike Tyson, you fought Lewis, but you never fought Morgan.
I never fought Morgan. I remember Morgan when he come down to Canning Town and Terry goes, "It's a boy from South East London doing something for the South London Press. As long as it was for the South London Press, I'll let you come in." And I gave you your first break, Piers.
Well, it's funny.
I think you owe me some money for that.
I have a picture of our interview from 25 years ago. There we are, bit grainy. I am a 19-year-old reporter on the South London News, it was actually. You were a 23-year-old boxer. I think you were about to fight Tim Witherspoon.
Look at my afro, look.
Yeah?
Oh, gosh. Oh, God.
That was 25 years ago.
Scary, isn't
That was the last time I interviewed you.
Oh, my God, you look very different there.
There was in my lightweight days.
You're still speaking with the boy with the plum in his mouth.
When you look at that picture, Frank, and you remember...
Yeah.
And you remember yourself as a 23-year-old about to go for the big world title stuff. You look at how your life has gone since then.
Mm.
Would you actually change anything? I know you've had really tough times, and you've had great times.
I wouldn't change one little bit, because if I would change it, I wouldn't be here. If I were to change it. From 8, I had a dream and I had a plan, you know what I mean? I sussed out a lot of different things before a lot of people could suss out. Then for me, I worked out too big to be athletic, too scared to be a thief, too worried of my mum if I went to rob anybody, nick anything or whatever.
I mean, I suppose my question for you is, we haven't done a big interview for quite a long time.
Yeah.
How are you now? I mean, people will be looking at you thinking, you look fantastic. I mean, the suit is outrageous. And that is the most outrageous suit you've ever seen, isn't it? I mean, look at
I was talking to the doctor the other day, and he said it was 9 years since I was sectioned, you know. But I'm here, you know. I mean, every day you got to just think, thank God that you wake up and just push on from there. I train like it's a fight or something like that, and I keep it real. I'm not Mother Teresa's child, I'm Lynette Bruno's child, but I duck and dive and I just keep it real and I look after myself. That's all I can do. I can't
And
do
you
no
still
more
work
than that.
out every day?
Every single day I try and work out. I get the hump if I don't work out.
You're the fittest 50-year-old I've ever seen.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that, because I could tell some men will give me a run for my money. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just contented and at a right place at the moment.
I think everyone here, Frank, will feel like I do. It's great to see you back in such fantastic
Thank you very
form.
much.
It really
Yes,
is.
thank you.
You became this great boxing champion.
Yeah.
For those who've never stepped into a ring, describe for me the emotions that you go through.
It's one of the most horrible, no, not the most horriblest things. Sometimes when you go in the boxing